he still cares about me. Don't forget, I was the very first person to endorse Mr. Trump. I'm a pioneer, like Neil Armstrong. Only instead of flying to the moon, I dug straight down to hell.
What happens when an SNL legend collides with a human indictment wrapped in a bad spray tan? Absolute mayhem. Kate McKinnon just lit up live TV with a roast of Donald Trump so ruthless, it left the orange one looking like he'd just seen a ghost. Or maybe a subpoena. Was it satire? A psychic vision? A full-on exorcism? Who knows, but it was deliciously unhinged. Strap in, because this meltdown was messier than a Mar-a-Lago brunch.
And on Fox, Trump answered some questions from a doctor.
We noticed.
But he still won't say if he's had a negative test yet.
This, we do not notice.
So he might technically still be contagious.
We noticed.
But he feels so good, he said, I may be immune.
What is this?
And now he's holding...
Kate McKinnon didn't just mock Donald Trump, she turned him into living, breathing performance art. It felt like a Shakespearean tragedy gate-crashed by the SNL cast on an ayahuasca bender. At the center of the chaos stood McKinnon, wielding nothing but her lethal wit and a facial expression that screamed, I've sniffed gym socks more pleasant than your politics. Her roast was so savage, even the ozone layer probably considered pressing charges.
But President Trump and I are going to overturn these illegal votes, first in Michigan, then in Georgia, and then Massachusetts, and then North Dakota.
There she was, our magnificent maestro of mayhem, stepping onto a set that resembled a gold-plated doomsday bunker, and transforming into a Trump so eerily spot-on, even he might slap it with a defamation lawsuit. With every exaggerated blink of her overly caked eyelids and each word dripping out like it was stuck in linguistic quicksand, McKinnon captured the very soul of a man who thinks Diet Coke is a food group and spelling is part of a liberal conspiracy.
So is there a risk of Trump infecting more people now that he's gone back to the White House?
It's very complicated. How can I say this so you can get it? A room have air, right? We noticed. And everybody have a nose. We noticed.
The hair, oh the hair, a living, breathing tornado of cheddar-toned cotton candy, thumbing its nose at gravity, science, and all known laws of good taste. Held together by the broken promises of failed casinos, Kate's version wasn't just spot on. It was a full-blown violation of both physics and fashion, just like the original. You could almost hear the follicles crying for help as she stalked the stage, finger jabbing like she was in a game of charades, and the clue was egomaniac with a nuclear launch code starter pack.
Think about time choosing Donald Trump.
Well, you know, it kind of undermines the honor for me. It's like winning the Nobel Prize for Physics and then the next year they give it to Hoobastank.
If you're loving this ride, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. McKinnon's impression wasn't satire. It was a full-blown documentary with jazz hands. She didn't exaggerate. She interpreted, like a linguistic anthropologist decoding the mating rituals of a rare, orange-hued narcissist. And what a wild translation. It was one moment babbling about phantom crowds, the next spiraling into a fever dream of stakes, border walls, and cancer-causing windmills. Honestly, it still made more sense than half of his press conferences.
Yet I was the very first person to endorse Mr. Trump. I'm a pioneer, like Neil Armstrong. Only instead of flying to the moon, I dug straight down to hell.
But the real roast didn't land until McKinnon gave that look, you know the one. That deadpan death glare that wordlessly says, I've wandered through your mental neighborhood, and I left with emotional tetanus. Honestly, that look alone deserved a Pulitzer. It was as if she'd just read one of his tweets aloud and her brain activated the emergency shutdown protocol out of sheer self-preservation. No dialogue needed, just raw, unfiltered, how is this still a thing energy radiating from every pore, and then she spoke, but not in sentences. In Trumpisms. Glorious, bloated, nonsensical Trumpisms, like someone swallowed a thesaurus and projectile vomited a word salad. McKinnon nailed the rhythm, the puffed-up swagger of a man who treats criminal indictments like honorary degrees. She sold it so perfectly, Trump's legal team probably tried to subpoena her wig for character assassination. And when she hit that trademark duck face pout with surgical precision, worthy of a satire surgeon dissecting a turducken of delusion, you could almost hear a bald eagle somewhere dropping a feather in national embarrassment.
The other day I colored a peacock. Then David Cameron called. He always knows how to cheer me up. He said, let's call Donald Trump and pretend to be the president of Taiwan.
The lip purse, the squint. That unmistakable. I'm about to say something wrong, and loud-faced McKinnon hit every note like a maestro of madness. You could almost hear the ghost of the English language whispering, abort mission. At one point, she spiraled into a rant about numbers, huge numbers, the best numbers, locking eyes with the camera like it owed her 5 months' rent. She dropped facts with the swagger of a man who once tried to buy Greenland because someone told him the icebergs resembled Ivanka. The stats she spouted were so wildly off course, even the calculators packed up and quit in protest. But that was the brilliance. She wasn't just lying, she was possessed. Her fake tan devoured the studio lights like a solar panel of delusion, glowing brighter and more radioactive with every line, inching toward a Crayola shade somewhere between apocalyptic sunset and existential regret, and then the hands, comically small, yet disturbingly animated, flailing like overcooked spaghetti noodles haunted by the spirit of insecurity. Every movement wasn't just body language, it was interpretive dance, a gloriously unhinged tribute to overcompensation in its purest, most theatrical form.
I'm never gonna step down now. You can't get rid of me. Yeah.
And it wasn't just the voice, it was the posture. That odd, chest-jutting, forward-leaning stance of a toddler who just discovered the word tremendous. McKinnon nailed it so flawlessly that chiropractors nationwide probably felt a collective twinge of sympathy pain. Her spine twisted like it was trying to escape the scene entirely, as if her soul had filed for emergency evacuation. Then came the monologues. Shakespeare had soliloquies. Trump has stream of consciousness fever dreams. And McKinnon delivered them like beat poetry in a dimly lit dive bar packed with confused libertarians. One moment she's ranting about voter fraud. The next she's flexing about being on a magazine cover as if that somehow makes up for having the vocabulary of a ceiling fan and a moral compass locked on perpetual detour. She ricocheted from smug self-praise to paranoid victimhood with such whiplash-inducing speed. It wasn't just an impression, it was full-contact satire, live, and unfiltered.
Hello, I'm Jeff Sessions, and I love you, Mr. Trump. When you fired me, did I write some nasty tell-all book? No. Did I get mad when you called me Mr. Bagoo, but fugglier?
One moment, she was the greatest president in history. The next, a helpless billionaire martyr, cruelly wronged by a world reckless enough to remember facts. The emotional whiplash was real, like riding a roller coaster built by QAnon, with plot, twists tighter than a conspiracy thread on a Facebook comment section, and the props, oh, the props. McKinnon waved an executive order like it was the Declaration of Delusion, holding it up with the pride of a kid showing off a macaroni necklace that spells Coke. The papers fluttered, the crowd cackled, and somewhere in the distance, reality sighed and poured itself a drink. But what truly launched this roast into the stratosphere was McKinnon's pitch-perfect portrayal of fake confidence, that one-of-a-kind swagger you only get from being completely wrong and utterly convinced you're a genius. Her Trump wasn't just a parody of a person. He was the embodiment of a worldview. The kind that walks headfirst into a wall, blames the wall, sues gravity, and calls the whole disaster a triumph of leadership.
Colin, this is the grand implosion of Trumpism. You don't even know the size of the tsunami that's coming.
And she didn't stop there. McKinnon sprinkled in just the right amount of fake empathy, nodding solemnly to imaginary questions like a glitchy bobblehead stuck on a gree. But instead of coherent answers, we got long-winded tales that began with, many people are sane, and ended with, and then everyone clapped spoiler. No one did. Well, except McKinnon, her self-breaking character, just enough to chuckle mid-rant, which, honestly, is still more applause than Trump got at certain funerals, the pièce de résistance. Her attempt to pronounce anything remotely scientific. She got as far as hydroxy before freezing, like her mouth hit a 404 error. You could practically see the single brain cell struggling to load the next syllable, spinning the wheel of linguistic doom. It was the kind of moment that made scientists everywhere laugh, cry, and consider switching careers because watching syllables surrender on live TV is both tragic and hysterical in equal measure.
Now, what do you think Trump does next?
Oh, whatever he wants, thanks to half the country that didn't even vote. You know, I regretted my comments about Colin Kaepernick. But then this week he said he didn't vote, so I guess this guy takes a knee on everything.
Just when you thought McKinnon couldn't get any more savage, she hit the dance floor. Not gracefully, not even intentionally, but that awkward, stiff, elbow-heavy shimmy Trump does when the music in his head completely drowns out the Constitution. McKinnon nailed it. She moved like a sentient Cheeto trying to escape its own rhythm prison, every twitch of her shoulder screaming, "I've never been hugged by a human who wasn't getting paid for it." Then came the whisper tantrum Trump's signature, move. That moment when he lowers his voice like he's sharing state secrets. But it's really just another rambling monologue about how nobody loves America more than he does except, of course, for that one dictator he sent a love letter to. McKinnon channeled it perfectly, embodying a guy who couldn't tell the difference between diplomacy and delusion. But she didn't stop there. Her eyes darted around like she'd just overheard someone say FBI in a crowded room, treating every tiny noise like a covert deep state ambush. She whispered conspiracies like she was prepping for a tinfoil hat runway show, finishing each one with a smug grin so punchable it probably needed its own Secret Service detail for protection.
Hello, I'm Jeff Sessions, or as my hero Mr. Trump has called me, Dumb Southerner. Dumbass Southerner. Deep Southern dumbass. Deep fried idiot. 2 shrimp short of a gump. And messed up baby. And I forgot where I was going with this.
Kate didn't just troll Trump. She launched a full-blown forensic audit of his ego, set it ablaze, and tap-danced on the smoldering ruins in stilettos, forged from pure, uncut satire. This wasn't just a sketch. It was a 6-minute televised exorcism, an unholy baptism in mockery, and a glorious unraveling of delusion. Somewhere deep in the gold-plated echo chamber of Mar-a-Lago, a flat-screen TV was probably screaming in silence as its orange-hued owner scrambled for his phone, desperately trying to figure out how to sue comedy for defamation. Good luck with that, Tawny, you need character first. This wasn't parody. Parody teases. McKinnon went full scorched earth. She didn't merely impersonate Trump. She dismantled him, brick by tacky, gold-plated brick, and reassembled the pieces into a tragic, comic blow-up doll of everything he fears. Weak, desperate, attention-starved, and painfully irrelevant. She tore out the hollow stuffing beneath the suit, doused it with hairspray, and let it drift into the void of late-night laughter. If satire is a scalpel, Kate performed open-heart surgery with a chainsaw and a martini in hand.
More, too, who say that Trump might get impeached before his 4 years are even over.
Oh, great, and then we'll get Pence, the gay people can't get a pizza guy. Awesome. Even though, I'm sorry, to me, he kind of looks like the neighbor who kisses Kevin Spacey in American Beauty. I'm sorry.
She didn't just mock Trump, she distilled him into what he's always been teetering on the edge of becoming. A joke told so many times it stops being funny, then loops back into comedy purely by accident. Except this time, the laugh was intentional. With every strained smirk, vocal fry, and that perfect blend of swagger and confusion, McKinnon didn't just impersonate him. She held up a shattered mirror, reflecting every bloated inch of a man who truly believes he deserves applause just for showing up. And when she dropped the final punchline, it hit like a bombshell. In just a few minutes, McKinnon did what decades of press conferences, indictments, and reality TV couldn't. She reduced a former president to a punchline so sharp it could have its own Netflix special. This wasn't satire, it wasn't even comedy. It was performance art, precision engineered like a drone strike, but delivered with the flair of a Broadway curtain call. This wasn't just a sketch. It was a surgical takedown wrapped in absurdity. With every raised eyebrow and awkward duck-lip pout, Kate distilled years of political gaslighting, Twitter tirades, and incoherent word salad into one glittering, digestible comedy gem.
Republicans, I'm trying to save you. You're like horses who won't leave a burning barn. You're gonna die. Accept the help. Trump.
She didn't just impersonate him, she became the metaphor. A living, breathing, perfectly coiffed satire of narcissism dressed up as populism. In doing so, she conveyed more about Trumpism in one sketch than most think pieces and college theses could ever dream of. This wasn't your average late-night jab. This was a full-blown comedy coup. Imagine a Shakespearean roast where the fool turns out to be the sharpest in the room and also happens to run the costume department. With one sketch, Kate McKinnon did what armies of fact-checkers, political analysts, and constitutional scholars have struggled to do for years. She explained Donald Trump through the all-seeing, unflinching lens of mockery. No footnotes, just facial expressions and sheer comedic brilliance. And if you're feeling a little whiplash from that Trump drag, good. That's not attitude, that's justice served with a side of karma and a main course of well-deserved ridicule. Now, hit that subscribe button harder than Trump hits retweet on a conspiracy theory posted by someone whose bio is a flag. 3. Bald eagles and 0 followers except their mom and a Russian bot.
Now, I recused myself from them a long time ago. Mr. Trump, please look after my ball. Keep him safe in your jacket pocket next to Mitch McConnell's, or dangling off your golf cart like a pair of chuck nuts. In conclusion, vote for me and I'll...
If Kate McKinnon can casually take down an entire presidency with nothing but a wig, a $0.50 suit from Target, and a smirk so sharp it could send a sitting senator into early retirement, the least you can do is sit back, relax, grab a snack, and smash that replay button. Or better yet, grab a friend and turn it into a watch party. Who knows? Democracy might just depend on it. Because satire is our last line of defense, and in Kate's hands, it comes packed with punchlines sharper than a Supreme Court dissent and twice as satisfying.